'Tis One Soccer today, and no, you're not seeing things. I get to host it today, and I get to do it my way. What I always want. Let's get stuck in. Petrillo out, Jenko out, Wheeler in. Gareth Wheeler with you. Happy to have along, as per usual, the great Jordan Wilson. And look at that. COC, yeah, you know me, Charlie O'Connor. Clark, stepping up in the big chair today. Are you ready for this, Charlie?
Born ready. Never been more ready.
Oh, loved it.
I know you're ready when Petrillo's hosting, but like your boy Wheels, you're all good?
Am I ready for a fight? Is that what we're doing? Is that what today is?
Not a fist fight, perhaps some verbal banter, but that's as far as we'll go on today's show. We have the Women's World Cup final upcoming. We have our regular segment, Top Bets with Tony Bet, coming up a little bit later on the show. We'll look ahead to some of the major stories around the footballing world. But again, we're going to start right here in this great country of ours. As the Canadian men's national team head coach John Herdman to Toronto FC, that conversation is still very much happening, even though things have gone very quiet, mysteriously quiet on the Toronto FC managerial search. It's a matter of why things have gone quiet at this point. And as they stay like this, and the more the status quo is pushed forward, then it seems like Terry Dunfield will stick on and see out the rest of this Toronto FC season. It doesn't seem like this was the plan, gentlemen, that they wanted someone in place much sooner. The question is why? Why didn't this pursuit of John Herdman or any other candidate go any further than this? And at a time of great change, not only at the board level within Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, the ownership group of Toronto FC, there's great change at the club as well. Bill Manning, the president, he's been there, he's won an MLS Cup, but very much perceived by those on the inside and the outside on the hot seat at present time. So as the head coaching search goes on, are you really going to allow a president who may be on his way out at the end of the season go on and make this critical decision to get the performance on the field right? What do you make of this scenario, Charlie? I'll start with you first. Should the head coaching decision be left until the end of the season when the club can really get its ducks in a row and figure out who's going to be calling the shots and what that structure may actually look like?
Yeah, it's tough because I think it is kind of a delicate balance. This season, I'm sure they wouldn't say it internally, but it feels like this season is mostly lost and wrapped, and you're looking for maybe just some moments of goodwill with fans. But this is a coaching hire that they can't afford to get wrong again, right? The last two, Chris Armas, Bob Bradley, didn't work out for this club, and those were those are Bill Manning's guys. Those are big hires. And I think if it is going to be him making another choice, he can't rush into this one, because if he does make this choice, it will be his last one, probably, if he doesn't get it right, I think. And if it's not to be him, then you definitely have to wait till the end of the season. I think there's definitely a lot to consider about what exactly they're looking for in a manager. I mean, Bob Bradley was hired to be the coach and the general manager, but Jason Hernandez is a GM right now, right? So you're just looking purely for a manager, a tactician. And I think, again, you don't know what the squad's going to look like next year, how much power will be given to a coach or whoever to change that. And if you're going through another entire rebuild, which you probably are going to have to at this point, then you, again, probably want to make sure that you get that right in the off season, rather than just bringing in somebody midway through this season to stop the bleeding, because there isn't really a lot of point in stopping the bleeding at the moment, because there's probably not a lot of blood left to lose.
What do you make of this, Jordan?
Charlie, I love it because you're so super sweet and dancing around Bill Manning. He's on thin ice.
Yeah.
You can't get this wrong. Everyone knows the club is hemorrhaging. Blood is being lost like by the second, and you don't want to get a situation wrong. So, Wheels, you've been mentoring me since I've started, and you said to answer the question. Don't just dance around it. I would say there are many times in a club's tenure or as they're building where you want a clean break. I think maybe with TFC, you might have to just wait till the season is over. This is a dud of a season, a write-off, possibly one of definitely top 3 worst seasons that the club has ever had. That's a fact. But the worst season that they've had in a while, right? 2017, we keep talking about that divine season and those players. That seems like a long time ago. It really went from the top and now to the bottom of TFC. So what you're looking to get, and when I'm looking at this TFC team, you want a culture bearer to come in. someone who can unite, someone who has an identity, someone who can bring a team together. If that person were to come in now, how much change could they really make to TFC with this team, with how the season has been? I don't think much of a difference. So maybe a clean slate would be the time. With Bill Manning being in charge of it all, you want to get that right, and you might need time of who that person will be. But then, Wheels, I think you follow this team for at least 2 decades. You know what it's like with TFC, nearly 2 decades. You know what it's like. You don't want to get this decision wrong because this is such a crossroad. And then there's dollars and cents that go into it as well. Who's able to come in? This is going to be a coach that is going to be paid a lot of dollars if you're looking at all the MLS teams. So they need to get this right. And I think waiting and making sure everything is in place is probably the best decision.
One thing I've always said is Toronto FC do succession plans very poorly. They're never thinking that step or two ahead. And that's what top clubs do. Look at them around the world right now. The clubs that consistently improve or get better or have stability, they have succession plans. And if it's not going to be Bill Manning, like, who is the board of directors? There's no Tim Laryea. There's no president in place right now with soccer acumen to go in and get someone. And what the board did in the past when they were a little bit lost is they turned to Major League Soccer for a candidate. And they landed on Tim Bezbatchenko to help see them through at least the operational running and recruitment, as Tim Laryea was president at that time. I just wonder if at some point they will go to Major League Soccer once again and say, give us some of your best candidates. So there may be alternatives here, because the last thing that you want to do is hire a manager that might not be the preference of the next president of this football club if they're going in that direction. So Bill Manning would love to hire a John Herdman. I reported on Tuesday that sources told me that they took Mark Warburton's name all the way to the board of directors, and that name was not approved. I don't know if that is more about the manager's name that they brought up, or whether they just weren't keen on making that kind of decision right now. Basically, you need alignment across the board. And for Bill Manning, I mean, if I'm the president and I'm on thin ice, I'm trying to get my manager signed, am I not? Because that's going to give you a better standing and show that you are thinking ahead and showing proper foresight and providing solutions for the future. So I understand why Bill Manning might want to get this done right now. And if this doesn't get done right now, Charlie, I just wonder what this means for the club and for Bill Manning's future. This is something that if he did bring in a John Herdman, you know, I know soccer fans in this country think about him in different ways, but, you know, people that are peripheral fans, they know John Herdman's name. They like him. He's a likable guy. Like, there's good reason that you can push that name out there and increase your approval rating or get some more clout in that department. So if I'm Bill Manning, Charlie, I'm trying to get this over the line as soon as possible. And the fact that it's not, I think that might indicate even more future change.
Yeah, I think it has to be frustrating at this point, because you mentioned approval rating. And I mean, the other thing this club is trying to do at the moment is sell tickets for next year, right? And if I'm, you know, a season ticket holder or a fan of this club at the moment, I'm wondering why I would renew my season tickets for next year with the club in this state, right? So if you do something like you bring in a name like a John Herdman, then maybe there is a little bit more clout. You have at least an understanding of there being a direction at this club, because there doesn't really feel like there's any direction at the moment. So if you're Bill Manning, you desperately need to push something like that over the line to, you know, ensure that you are part of the direction this club is going, and for people to have any kind of belief that there is one.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing that's worth pointing out is sources have told me that finances have become very tight around the club right now. You might think MLSE has all this money. Well, each individual club or team has their separate budget. And from the sounds of it, things are tight. And I wonder if this issue, perhaps holding up Herdman, outside of the potential board rationale, is just the finances might have not lined up. And I've heard other reports, and Josh Cloak was on a Toronto sports radio station yesterday, and he was talking about Herdman maybe seeking out this process. Herdman was given a raise. I also reported that was given a raise last summer, and he's on a decent dollar value, which provides him more protection and severance as well. So he'd probably be asking for the stars, moon, and the sky to take over this job from an organization that is known to have lots of money. So we'll wait and see on that. Canada Soccer, meanwhile, remains silent. Seems a little bit awkward having a manager that's reportedly going out and seeking other employment opportunities, and nothing is being done within our national association. Yikes. As for TFC, they're back at it on Sunday as they take on CF Montreal. Good old derby match down at BMO Field in Toronto. But to Charlie's point, Jordan, like, what direction is this Toronto FC team going in over the course of this run-in of the season? It seems like they're too invested to just say, well, we're just going to play the kids. They've been doing that. But Insigne's back training, Michael Bradley's back training, Bernadeschi's still here, Sebastian Javinko's now being brought in, whether that's to extend the olive branch, to sell tickets, to perform. Bottom line is this team hasn't scored a goal with Terry Dunfield in charge. So what will this layoff do in terms of turning things around? Is it a benefit? And where do things go from here for the remainder of the campaign?
I think as a footy fan, if I'm looking at this and midfielder defender in me is just thinking, yeah, we'll lose games. We've been losing, but let's score. Let's have something to cheer about. You're playing a derby match. Let's see some passion. Even if we lose 3-1, 3-2 as a TFC fan, let's get the fans something to cheer about when we do score. When I'm seeing this TFC team play, I'm being light with this, but there's not enough life, right? And I'm not even talking about the glory days of 2017 where you're looking at, whether you're in the stand or you're at home, you could feel the team and how electric they are and how much they cared and how much they wanted to go and win. Yes, this TFC team is not the same as its glory days, but it's just a desire and how much change has happened within this team. That is what's really losing fans. And then this is the thing that we talk about with soccer, right? It's really a boring game if there aren't any goals. If your team hasn't scored in 11 games, what are you really cheering about? Goals is what gets people out of the seat. So for me, even if TFC go and lose this weekend, I think you got to gamble on the big dogs if they're ready. I think the people that are getting those millions and that you paid to get people in the stands, you got to play them if they're healthy enough to go. And then really focuses on, yes, we've been leaking in goals, but let's try to go out and score. Let's go and play progressive. Let's go and try to put the ball in the back of the net and build off of that. Because I think as a TFC fan, going to the stadium and watching another game and your team doesn't score, it is so disheartening and it's just weighing. It's just a negative air and energy in that stadium. So just throw caution to the wind. You're not making the playoffs. Go and try to do your best self for the last bit of the season.
It's not any easier with Sean Johnson, their goalkeeper, who, poor guy, it's been a tough season for him, not on the goalkeeper, much like it wasn't on Bono and Westberg before. He's out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured hand. Those tickets are expensive, Charlie. So what do you make of this Sunday moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, you do have that little bit of interest because it's the derby game, and I think fans will always show up maybe more than they would for a normal game when you're bottom of the table. But to Jordan's point, I think at this point you'd almost rather lose 3-2 than draw 0-0 in this game and have another just absolute waste of a day out when you go there and just they're just depressing to watch and there's no fun, there's no joy in the soccer. Right, you want it to be a derby match where not only is it competitive, but there's actual attacking football being played. As you guys said, I think those big guys, those Italians, need to be on the pitch if they can be, and you need to come out of this 3-week layoff with something to show for it. Right, Terry's had a little bit of time with this group, I guess, to work with them without having games to worry about, where maybe they are able to find a little bit more energy, a little bit in the tank, and just do something. Right. I think just for the last few weeks before the Leagues Cup and even during that, they were just kind of floundering. Like there's just nothing going on. There's no goals. They show up and it's almost checking a box that you finished a game. You never want that as a football club. You don't want to be making up the fixtures. You want a game, especially against your biggest rival, who is there to win, by the way, because they're in a playoff race. You're not, but they are. You don't want to just allow them to walk all over you in your home turf.
I want to see the celebrations when they score their first goal under Dunfield. It's going to be like that Danny Dicchio when you're waiting for the first goal in Toronto FC history and everyone rejoices and seat cushions and all that. It's been a long time, let's be honest here. You're right, they play CF Montreal, a team that's going through their own struggles. They didn't play that poorly in the Leagues Cup. Lost 1-0 to DC United, won in penalties in their first match as well, but ended up not moving on. But this team only one win in their last 7 in all competitions, and they're failing to score goals as well. They're held goalless 5 times over the course of that run. They're very much in playoff positioning, or at least contention. They're 10th place, just one spot out of a playoff spot at present time. But you know who's coming? It's Inter Miami, right? As far as they're back, they're going to make a run for towards playoff contention as well. What do you make of their playoff chances, Jordan? Are they good enough? Like, I look at them, they're a good team now. I really think they are, but they might just not be good enough in a very competitive Eastern Conference.
Yeah, no, I think Wheels, we've been covering CF Montreal in the beginning of the season. I think what's kind of been at play the whole time was really just their attacking power, right? I think when you're watching this team play, you know that they can get into goal scoring opportunities or positions, but it's really getting that last final piece together. And I think when you're going to the last run of the season, whether it be 10 games, 7 games, for the last 5, you want to be able to bank on players to step up. So for CF Montreal, that's really it. If they can have someone break out up top and be the guy that could just put the ball in the back of the net or just play with confidence, I could see them being making playoffs and being, whether it be that last playoff team or whatever, just getting into playoffs and doing well. Remember, in the beginning of the season, I thought the CF Montreal team, we all kind of thought like they needed more. Bryce Duke coming into the squad, he's gelled in effortlessly. There's been players that have stepped up. They look like a cohesive unit. But now to get over the line, you need players to step up that much further. Your unit could be better, but you just need those superstars. And I know my boy Charlie is going to talk a little bit about certain superstars.
He'll talk about them. But Montreal's on 29. Atlanta's in 7th. They're on 35. Chicago 32. DC United 30. Inter Miami lurking. Who are they better than in that group? Which team do they need to knock down in order to secure one of those spots? Charlie, I'll hand it over to you.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it sounds dumb, but I'm almost assuming that Inter Miami is going to be there in a couple of weeks. But yeah, are Montreal better than DC United? Are they better than Chicago, Atlanta? I don't necessarily think so. Can they be? Yeah. I think they've got players that have had really good seasons. I mean, Mathieu Choinière deserves all the credit in the world for the season he's having, that breakout in midfield, but he's not going to score a lot of goals for this team. You mentioned Bryce Duke. I think he's been very good, and to his credit, I didn't know what they were doing when they traded Kamal Miller for Duke and Lassiter.
I did,
and I still don't think
you actually did, Wheels.
Wheels did, but to be fair, both those players have actually helped add a little bit to that attack. Those guys who have MLS experience and know how to score in this league. But again, it is kind of a scoring by committee approach in this team. And I think if you're going to finish 8th or 9th in this, by the way, the MLS playoff format is very forgiving. You can be in 10th place in the conference and still be a point out of the playoffs. But for you to actually pass one of these teams, a DC or a Chicago that has kind of those bigger names, those stars that can fill the net, you need somebody to go on a bit of a heater down the last few weeks.
They hope it's a Poku. Like to see a little bit more of him. The early returns have been okay. I think that it's another good move by CF Montreal. We'll see how it pans out. CF Montreal, Toronto FC this weekend. It's a big one, despite where Toronto FC is in the table. Out west, we're looking forward for a potential debut. Why not? Richie Laryea, Sam Adekugbe, the newest members of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Look, there's a lot of hype about this. They're in 7th place in the Western Conference right now, and they play the team that they're just behind in San Jose Earthquakes. This game even that much more important. And I know that the Whitecaps attendance is not being great this weekend. Go and watch Laryea and Adekugbe play, not only because it could be their debut, because this team's going away from home for their next 7 games. Their schedule at Portland, at Chicago, at New York City, at TFC, at Houston, at Real Salt Lake, at Colorado. They're not playing back at home until September 30th. Wow, that is one difficult run for the Vancouver Whitecaps upcoming. So, the story's the debuts, but the story is you got to win your home games as well, a place that Vancouver Whitecaps have been very good. So all eyes on Vancouver this weekend, Jordan Wilson.
Absolutely. I think what I'm really looking forward to is Richie Laryea. I know Sam Adekugbe, obviously he's a baller as well. And I think Sartini is very smart in terms of getting these 2 names into his club. right? Big profile players gearing up for the future, for 2026. Also think about Can Champs, how you have a high play player, but you also have a Canadian. It's a beautiful move by him. You're getting two guys that rarely injured, put in a shift. I always got to knock on wood when I say that, right? I don't want to be jinxing anyone, but Richie Laryea, if he comes even with 80% of the form that he left TFC with, you're getting assists, you're getting product with this guy. I think with Sam, it's probably going to take him a bit more time to get acclimated, being back in the MLS, being back in Canada, and playing here. But look, for Richie Laryea, this is a dynamite player he's getting. On the road, it doesn't matter. Richie will be back at TFC. You never want to lose to the team that you're coming from. You know what he's going to bring. You can also now, with Richie in his squad, start moving players around a little bit because you know what he can give at the right back. You know what he can give even like as a right wing back. If you want to play him on the left side and get creative, you know what you could do with that as well. Richie has proven himself in the MLS. He is such an addition to the squad. And I think we'll see Vancouver making that spot, making that leap. They just have to start well in this game on the weekend and then pull it together on the road a little bit.
This is shrewd dealings by Axel Schuster and Vancouver Whitecaps. Has it raised the bar in terms of your expectation, Charlie?
For the Whitecaps, yeah, it has. And I think that this is maybe a move that we've kind of everybody's wanted them to make for a while. Because these are big name Canadian players that add a little bit of star power, for lack of a better term, to this Vancouver side that maybe was missing it a little bit. Like, these guys are reasons to go and watch this team if you're a Canadian soccer fan out in Vancouver, and they will, in theory, make them a more exciting team to watch. I mean, Laryea, especially, if they're going to make him a face of this franchise, as all signs indicate they will, then I'm assuming that he will be given the freedom by Vanni Sartini to be that and to create and to be kind of bombing up the flanks and just be Richie Laryea and the best version of Richie Laryea, as we've seen kind of when he's been at his best with Canada and even at TFC. So it does, for me, make this team, I mean, for me, the most exciting of the three Canadian MLS teams to watch at the moment, and certainly the one with the highest ceiling, because there is still quality in that team as well for Richie and Sam to pass to, which there wasn't necessarily for Richie when he was at TFC earlier this year.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting stuff. Jordan, you said it, the versatility. You know, Sam can play on the left side of a three, can play out wide, keeps Ryan Gold further up the field where he plays his best football. Laryea, the best wing back, outside right back in the Major League Soccer. Let's see how this plays out. In that system, those wide areas are so important. Yeah, let's go. Let's start. Let's see it this weekend for Vancouver Whitecaps. I mean,
let's go.
Adekugbe didn't look fully fit at the Nations League. We'll see where his fitness is at, but you're right. All eyes on Laryea this weekend. Let's go.